Hello and welcome back to Human Design TikTok and YouTube. Tangie, I'm a human design teacher and coach. I use human design to help you or at least feel a little better. That's why I call myself the Feel Good Expert. You can find me at the Feel Good Expert across all platforms. I will not DM you. Be careful out there. I also call myself the Feel Good Expert because I'll never tell you anything limiting, inhibiting, or dogmatic about this system. I simply use human design as a context and language for describing energy patterns. And I do that to give you validation and permission to be your most authentic self. I also do that by providing you foundational knowledge and practical tools with real life application. My favorite tool is my website. It's feelgoodhumandesign.com or thefeelgoodexpert.com. And that is because every single one of the chart properties on my website links you to a free video explanation. So it's a free on-demand mini reading. If you've pulled your chart before and you felt overwhelmed, or you looked at it and you're like, I don't know what to do with that info, check out my website. It is a free resource that will guide you step by step through all of the chart properties to give you an understanding of your aura shape and expression, your most aligned way of making decisions, lots of cool stuff all up in this chart. And it's called Human Design. If you have no idea what Human Design is a synthesis of 4 ancient systems. We're using Western astrology, the Chinese i-ching, the Hindu Brahmin chakra system, as well as mystical kabbalah. It is quite the rabbit hole and it gets overwhelming quickly. And that's why I'm here to answer your questions, to help you understand the system a little bit better. I've been studying for 7 years now and I teach human design. So feel free to ask me anything in the comments. The only thing I ask in return is that you engage with this live by commenting, liking, sharing, subscribing, all the typical things. You know what to do. So if you're on TikTok, tap the screen like that. Yeah, see, you got it. Thank you. If you're on YouTube, I think you can hit the little thumbs up. And yeah, ask me anything. What does it mean to be a 4/6? Oh man. I think the 4/6 profile to me is maybe one of the most interesting. And I'll tell you why, and this is a little bit advanced. And if you want to learn advanced human design, I have a course. It's called the Human Design Starter Kit. It's linked in my bio. But, okay, there's 2 things about the 4/6 profile that I find infinitely interesting. One is that it is all upper trigram. So we have 6 lines, potentials in the profiles. And if you don't know what a profile is, check your chart properties. It's a number, a slash, and then another number, okay? And there's 12 different potential options that it could be, but they come from these 6 basic lines. The bottom 3 lines are inner, okay, introspective, about me, about my journey. And the top 3 lines are about the other. And so a 4/6 is all upper trigram. Lots and lots of their life is focused on the other, but they're doing it in a way for their own personal karma, for their own personal destiny, because it is a personal karma profile or incarnation cross, which I know that's super, super advanced. Please ask me like a clarifying question if that doesn't make sense. But now I'll tell you that something that actually makes sense if you're new to human design for a 4/6. So we love a 4/6, okay, because they're conscious. So the first number in your profile is always going to be conscious, like who you think you are. And then the second number is going to be how other people see you. And so their conscious line is about like always trying to create these foundations, right? Who's with me? Who can I count on? Who's not with me? Who do I want to be with, right? Always trying to create foundational relationships. The problem, the struggle, the big, big struggle for a 4/6 in their lifetime is that their 6th line on their unconscious side, okay, the 6 exists in different timelines, okay? From 0 to 30, you're actually a 3rd line. And then from 30 to 50, you're starting to turn all of those failures into wisdom. And then from 50 on, after your Chiron return, now you're the role model. But when you're 0 to 30, you get this pattern around making and breaking bonds. I'll push you away. Are you going to come back? I'll push you away. Are you going to come back? But mentally, you're like, but I actually need you. Don't leave. But I'm going to push you away. And so they kind of get in this interesting pattern around relationships where they're like, I'm not really sure. Is it me? Am I the problem? Am I the villain? Right? And I know this because I'm a 1-3. So that's my whole thing. Making and breaking bonds, experimenting with people and relationships. But I'll tell you, post Chiron return, post 50, like you are the role model, the expert in setting boundaries, knowing who to allow close to you or not. So I think it's so infinitely fascinating that you're learning all of these things about relationships the hard way, and it's creating like this karmic healing for you. And it doesn't impact others the same way that it impacts you, right? Like it's like you're like, why don't they care as much as I do? But they're on their own journey. They're on their own karma. I don't know. Tell me if that makes sense. But yeah, I think it's so interesting. This 4-6, and it's like the 4-6 is my big sister because I'm a 1-3, so I'm all lower trigram, foundational knowledge and experimentation around what I know and what I think I know. Right? Your foundational relationships and experiment on like who am I and how I show up in relationships. Really interesting to me. Thank you for asking that. Okay, this is great because I don't know how to read any of this, but I have a chart. Yeah. Use the links anywhere that it's like pink on the website in the chart properties. Use those. Those are free video explanations. I just basically took all of my videos that I made for every social platform and I organized them for you. So you don't have to go scroll through all my videos to find the ones that relate. I just linked them because I could in my website. That's my Virgo rising. I love to be organized. Hi, Melanie. What about a 4-1? Okay, so this is different. 4-1 is 2 foundational lines. So you've got this conscious awareness of how much you need foundational relationships and what people mean to you. And then you have another foundational line on your unconscious side, which is about learning. And so what do you learn about people, right? Like I'm stuck in this loop of like, how do I figure out my people? You're like deep dive into psychology, like wanting to know how people think and how people operate and how people operate in relationship. Samantha, I'm sorry. I'm a 5-1 splenic projector. Hi, Sammy. 36, not there yet. I know. 50, you get on the roof, but like, don't feel bad because I just never get there. I'm a 3rd line for life. So at least you have some respite coming. The first one hi, Felicity. The first one I talked about was a 4-6. Yes. I've done my whole family on your side. Yay, thank you. Can you talk about a 3-5? Okay. If I had a second favorite, it's a 3-5. I also love a 3-5. I mean, I love everybody. But these I like to talk about because they're just so interesting in the way that they express, right? And almost like the nuance to these 2 different parts of you that express through you. And so a reminder when we're looking at profile, the first number is what's conscious and the second number is unconscious or how other people see you, right? First number before the slash, who I think I am, right? Like, yeah, that's me. I resonate with that. I like that. And then the other number is like, I don't know, but maybe I've gotten that feedback, right? But it's not something that I'm like, oh yeah, I want to go do that, right? So when we talk about 5th lines in human design, 5th line is like a problem solver, critical thinker, right? They're projected upon. People put all their stuff on a 5th line so that you can fix it for them. And so 5th lines are really prone to these like victim villain archetypes, like savior, hero. All this stuff comes in really hard and fast for 5th lines. And so they get kind of scared and they want to pull back. Because they're like, you're not really seeing me. You're only seeing me for what I can do for you. And I don't like that, right? Like, I want you to really see me. I want you to really understand me. So when you're a 3-5, you have this like internal struggle around mindset because you're so aware of how many times you've failed, right? How challenging things are. Your whole trial and error process is happening mentally. And then externally, everybody's looking at you to fix everything. And you're like, wait, I haven't fixed it for me. I haven't solved this for myself yet. Like, what do you mean? Like, don't project your stuff over here. And so 3-5 really has to learn, number one, mindset, right? Like, how do I view my challenges as growth, as something good? And then how do I set really clear boundaries that I'll only solve problems where I have direct experience? Like, you just can't project everything on me. I'll help you if I've done it before, if I've had that experience, or if that's something that I was able to shift my mindset around, or a challenge that I faced myself. But otherwise, like, don't put all your stuff on me. Thanks for the follow. Trying to understand which, aren't we all? I feel like I have a pretty good handle on my kids. It's not fair for the fifth lines or the second lines. Those are both projected. So I was talking about like the fourth line and the first line both being foundational. This is why we have it broken up into upper and lower trigram. 1, 2, 3 is very introspective, me trying to figure out myself. 4, 5, 6 is very much more external, right? My interactions with others and how that moves me along my path. And so the first line is foundational knowledge. The fourth line is foundational relationships. The second line is projected inward. The fifth line is projected outward. And then the third line is experimentation, right? On what I know and what I'm learning and challenges. And then the sixth line is turning experience into wisdom. Fascinating stuff, right? I cover all of that in my course, by the way, if you want to learn how to read. Like, my kids were the reason I got into it anyway. Because I don't think now, but when I first learned about human design, I saw that I was a projector type. And I was like, projector? That doesn't sound cool at all. Like, I can't get that word tattooed in anywhere on my body. Like, I might get Aquarius, but projector? No thanks. Like, nothing sounds cool about that. But I saw that my oldest son is a manifestor, and I was like, oh, manifestor. Oh, that we could do something with that. That sounds good, right? Like, what's that mean? So I went all in learning about him. And then I had another son who's a manifesting generator. And then I started to integrate and see my own design and do readings for others. So if you're just joining, my name is Tangie. I'm a human design teacher and coach. I use human design to help you feel good, or at least feel a little better. That's why I call myself the Feel Good Expert. You can find me at the Feel Good Expert across all platforms. I will not DM you. I have no backup account. So be careful out there, because anybody who's like a reader or anybody who does anything spiritual, like all the scammers will try to create fake accounts of me and then DM you asking for donations. I won't do that. Very professional. I'm a professional reader. I've been doing this. I've been studying human design for 7 years, but I've had it as a business for the past 3. Anyway, I also will call myself the Feel Good Expert because I'll never tell you anything limiting, inhibiting, or dogmatic about the system. And that is really common. That is really rampant. People get really serious about it. Like, they get real religious. And I think that that's absolutely crazy. We're talking about auras, guys. Calm down. I simply use this as a context and a language for describing energy patterns. I think when we understand patterns and the cyclical nature of life, then we're on the right track. Right? Now we have a language to describe what we're experiencing. What else? If you have no idea what human design is, it is a synthesis of 4 ancient systems. We use the I-ching, the chakra system, Western astrology, and mystical kabbalah. So there's a lot going on in the chart. There's lots of numbers and shapes. I'm here to break it down and make it super, super simple for you. I love coming live and answering your questions. It's been a while. Sorry, single mom life. It's been a while, but I'm here now. So feel free to ask me anything in the comments. All I ask in return is that you engage, comment, like, share, subscribe, follow, all of those things, which I see you're doing. Thank you for that. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the engagement. And now I'll get back to your questions. Let me see. Okay, Melanie says, with an open G center, can you expand on this for me? I have a son that's a manifesting generator. Kamiko, hi. How do I figure out what I am? Oh, I don't know if I said this. You can pull your chart for free anytime on my website. It's feelgoodexpert.com or feelgoodhumandesign.com. You'll find it in my links. It's everywhere. I'm not hard to find at all. Type in your birth date, exact time, and location. You'll get this map of your aura, and all of the chart properties on my website link you to free video explanations. So it's an on-demand free mini reading. I've been posting about my personalized reports. I actually went to Staples and printed it out. I was like, I have to have this. So actually, I got the idea from a fellow creator here on TikTok. She printed it and she made a video about it. I was like, oh my God, so smart. But anyways, I have personalized reports on my website. They're in the $20 range. Most of these reports cost like $50 to $100. And it's very like coaching oriented. Tell you what to do and how to do it, how to integrate this, because it is very complex and overwhelming. Anyway, if you have a fully open G center, or just generally the G center, okay, so we have 9 centers in human design. Each center has both a theme and a function, something that it means and something that it does. It also has like a biological tie and component, but I won't get into that. That is in my course though. And the G center is about direction, identity, purpose. And so anything you have colored in your chart that's consistent for you, you can count on it. You usually take it for granted. Anything that's not colored in your chart, it's inconsistent. It's surprising. It comes out of nowhere, but you can never predict it. You can't control it. And as soon as we figure out that we can't predict or control something, that's exactly what we want to do. It's not consistent, so let me force it. So when you have an undefined G center, the best thing you can do is release this idea that you can predict or control where you're going in life. You'll be surprised. You can set goals. You can have a general idea of your future direction. That's fine. That's not going to hurt anything. But when you're attached, when you're stuck on it, you're going to drive yourself crazy because it's never going to be enough. So as soon as you can release attachment and go, well, we'll get there when we get there. I am whoever I am, right? My identity evolves. It changes. My purpose is to be present in this now moment. But you'll see you'll get in trouble when you start telling yourself stories about like, oh, I have no idea what I'm going to do with my life. I don't know where I'm going. Who's going to love me? Why doesn't anyone love me? I have no purpose. That's your black hole. That's your bottomless pit. Don't go there. Go to your definition. Go to what's colored in. My website is feelgoodhumandesign.com or thefeelgoodexpert.com. Catch up with some comments here. Thanks for the likes. What does actualizing for inner authority mean? I don't know. I've not heard that term before. Where'd you see it? Raw thought projectors are cool. I know, he did. I think manifestors are cool. Hi, Alyssa. My arm just cramped. I have a good friend who's a 3-5 reflector. How much for a chart reading? My readings are linked on my website. My calendar is there. Hi, Kelsey. Lots of reflector energy. I sure feels this way, but already moved town to town. I have 4 open centers. I have 7 undefined centers in my chart. Boundary setting I create usually involves others choosing to avoid discussion. Project. Yeah, well, if they're benefiting from you not having boundaries, they're not going to like the idea of you having boundaries. Just think about that. Let that sink in. Can you explain how incarnation crosses come into play? What's the best way to work with undefined centers? In your how to manifest part on the document, it says, I just have ajna to throat connection. How do I use that to manifest? So it's all about mindset for you. Ajna is conceptualization. It's certainty versus uncertainty. It's the way we perceive, right? It's the belief systems that we hold or that we take on. And so your direct line to manifestation is going to be via your mindset. Do you believe you can? Incarnation crosses are the impact that our aura has on others when we cross their path. You can't not do it. It's automatic. Okay. So the way that it comes into play in the human design world is once you're aware of it, once you're like, oh, okay, that is what my aura does automatically. Now you can start to put language to that and be aware of those impacts and those interactions. So for example, I'll use my chart cross of the Sphinx. People tend to migrate toward me when they're lost and I provide direction. I might not know where I'm going, Rarely. I have the worst sense of actual direction too. You have an undefined G center, like navigation to go like 2 blocks away, I swear to God. But other people will see that energy, not see, but feel and be magnetized toward that. I was giving the example, actually listen to my podcast, our podcast. Brandy Yates and I have a podcast now. And I gave the example of the impact that my kids' incarnation crosses had on me as a parent. And I'll just briefly, like my oldest is cross of service. They cross your path when you need to get your shit together. And that's exactly what happened. Like I was so irresponsible and very much victim mentality. And then he came across my path and no days off as a mom, right? I really did have to get my shit together. And then my youngest son is the cross of refinement, right? So he was almost like my saving grace, like my redemption after having a cross of service person come into my life. So I don't know. Tell me if that helps. What's the best way to work with undefined centers? So these are surprising to you. These are expansive, and these are also where you hold open space for others. So you can work with it really well if you have good energy boundaries and you have the awareness, for example, in your emotional center, if you're undefined emotional, that you're going to hold the open space for someone else's emotions without absorbing and amplifying, right? Without making them yours or thinking that they're yours. You can be a really good coach in that area, right? You can learn a lot in your lifetime about emotions because of how surprising and unpredictable they are, right? And how you can learn to release them without attachment. So a lot of different ways you can work with the undefined centers. Do you think that in your 7 years, you've more or less fully deconditioned yet? And do you see that as a necessary goal? I think, yeah, I mean, a lot happens in 7 years, but I think I have completely shifted my energy, my boundaries, my relationships, my self-worth, like a lot of things have been turned on their head. And it was human design that was the compass for me, right? Cross of the Sphinx. It was the thing that allowed me to focus and have direction. So running into challenges and traumas, overthinking, right? Just difficulties in life, I would go, okay, well, at the very least, I can do this thing consistently. And I'm going to test that. I'm going to experiment with that. Is this consistent for me? Can I continue to show up for this, if nothing else? I wouldn't like make it a goal, more like a security blanket, more like something you can just kind of like go, okay, when I lose my direction, when I lose my focus, I can go back here. And I do that with astrology too. Any advice for a 2-4 manifestor who can't quit her job? I have gate 4 and gate 47 on both design and personality. Does this make the gate stronger? I always say when you have a gate in multiple placements, it's emphasis in the theme of that gate. I never know where I'm going, but I'll take you anywhere. 2-4 manifestor who can't quit her job. I mean, you don't need to quit, but make sure your network is strong. Because if you don't like that job and you want something else, it's going to come from within your network. Your best opportunities are going to come within your network. And it'll just be like that, like lightning bolt. Like you were there one day and now you're 200% in the direction of the new job. But it's got fourth lines, opportunist. Always the opportunities come from the network. So make sure that like you have those foundations and you're also comfortable being a foundational person for others because you have this reciprocal exchange. Cross of tension. Whoa, it's like the rubber band. Like how far can we go? Cross of Eden. Hey Nick, long time no see. I said that out loud as I read it, but I wasn't reading it. No, it's not that you're not getting my notifications. I just literally haven't been live. It's what happens now that we understand the cyclical nature of life. It is what happens for me as a single mom. This is a lot. Running a business, having 2 kids, and they don't go to school. They're unschooled. So teaching them, engaging with them, having learning time and activity time and cooking 3 meals a day in my house and cleaning and having some kind of social life. Yeah, that's just what happens. Hi, Gabe. Oh, the cross of separation is so interesting also. 4-6 reflector, welcome. Cross of separation. I've met a few people who have this. And it's like people are going to take you for granted. They're never going to know what it was like to be around you or your worth until they get kicked out. And then they'll miss you. My mic, I hate this thing. Testing. Testing the microphone. Did it come back on? No. Here's my other mic. Yeah, on YouTube it's this mic. I can do some ASMR. I have 2 mics running simultaneously. It's just for whatever reason, like this is a high quality mic on my desk, and I can choose the microphone from my desktop. But the TikTok only lets me use my phone mic, so I got this to make it a little less echoey. Well, I don't know what to tell you. I'm unplugging it, plugging it back in. Did you try turning it off and turning it back on? Tech support. Oh, you're also cross of the Sphinx. I'm so glad you're here. Thanks for coming. The void is here. Did I answer your question? What does it mean to be a projector? Are you still there, Kimiko? I can answer that. I get, I'm looking at 2 different screens of comments. That's one, but I get sidetracked. I'll get excited to talk about something and then I'll go all on a tangent. If you still want me to talk about projectors, I will. What does it mean to be a manifesting projector? We don't have that one. It's not a type we have. We have 5 types in human design. We have generators, manifesting generators, projectors, manifestors, and reflectors. So maybe it was a manifesting generator we're talking about. So I have to believe what I want to manifest, and then that'll happen. You have to connect with the mindset of it. I'm saying that as I'm trying to think of an example. Hi, Karen. The cross of obscuration. I have a funny story about that one, actually. Manifesting generator. Okay. I have a funny story about the cross of obscuration, but let me talk for everyone about the manifestation via the throat center. So I said we have 9 energy centers in human design, and each energy center has both a theme and a function. So what does it mean and what does it do? Okay. The throat center's function is to manifest, right? To bring into creation, to vibrate, to to take action, to make things be. So we have 2 pressure centers at the very bottom and the very top, the root and the crown, and they're pushing energy toward the throat for manifestation, right? We're all conscious creators of our reality. If you have an undefined throat, manifestation is a little less predictable for you. It's a little more surprising, right? It just happens when it happens and you can't really control it. So you just need to turn back to what is consistent for you. And if you have a defined throat, there are a lot of different paths that can be taken to get to the throat, depending on your definition, right? So for example, you can have a solar plexus to throat connection. You can have an ego to throat connection. You can have a sacral to throat connection. You can have a spleen to throat connection. You can have an ajna to throat connection. And so one of the things that I teach is if you have a defined throat, look at the center that defines the throat, right? The channel that connects two centers and then defines the throat. That's your fast track to manifestation. So for example, if you have a defined G center and G center to throat connection, you're going to manifest by shifting your identity, like stepping into the identity of the person that already has it. You hear that in manifestation all the time, right? Because it's one of the paths. There's another path where it's like shift your emotional experience, regulate your nervous system, ride your emotional wave, sit with things very deeply and thoroughly. That's another path to manifestation, right? Solar plexus to throat. Intuitively manifesting, trusting your instincts, spleen to throat. So when I say ajna to throat connection, shift your mindset, that's just one more path to manifestation. We all have access to all of them, just in surprising ways. But if that is always on for you, ajna to throat connection, then really working on your mindset and your belief systems around things and what's possible and the way that you see the world and the way you conceptualize things, that's your fast track to expressing that out in your reality. Oh, cross of obscuration. Okay, this is so funny. So it's like obscuration, like something's hidden, right? Something's hidden from me. There's something I just can't quite see. Just right on the other side of the veil, okay? And I always like say when I do readings, I look at their entire chart, but I can like kind of see the reading coming from a mile away, especially the incarnation cross, because it's having an impact on me, right? When I do a reading for you, your incarnation cross impacts me, right? I get to work with your energy as much as you get to work with mine. And I had someone book a reading with the cross of obscuration. And I got to that point in her chart and I was like, I'm just curious because I haven't read for someone who has this before. Like, do you ever feel like there's just something right on the other side of it, or something that's just not like, has something been hidden from you in your lifetime? Things been obscured? She's like, no, not at all. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I was like, okay, just curious, right? I'm learning through case study. And we got to another point in the reading and I was like, do you see what my mouse is pointing at? She's like, what? And I was like, do you see what my mouse is pointing at? She's like, no, I have a blank screen. And I was like, have you had a blank screen the whole time? And she's like, yeah, I thought that's what it was supposed to be. I was like, no, I was sharing your chart on the screen and like showing you your chart. And she's like, oh no, I didn't see it. And I was like, okay. So it was obscured. Anyway, that was funny. That was interesting to me. That was an interesting case study. Obscured. Lots of comments. Somebody asked me about 1156. Okay. From ajna to throat, we have two channel types. It can be individual circuitry, so that 2343 structuring, or it can be collective, 1156 or 1762. And so you are shifting your mindset constantly by learning the lessons of the past, right? Like remembering, taking in all of these stories and telling these stories and these lessons to create a new experience for the collective. See how I put all that together? Okay. That clicked. Okay, good. Essential book recommendations. You explain things so well. Thank you. I have a course. I finished it. I'm excited to talk about it because it took a year and I just completed the entire course, so it's done, like ready to go. And I'm even like certifying people now, like they've taken my course and I'm like, oh my God, I've taken other courses before and I didn't learn shit and I didn't really feel like I could actually do a reading, but I took yours and I have foundation. I feel confident. But anyways, I have a course where I explain things the way that I explain things, and it's very good for neurodivergent people because I'm pretty sure that's what I've got going on over here, but I refuse to be labeled. But quick lessons, audio, visual, downloads, all the stuff. Anyway, aside from that, the Definitive Book of Human Design is like the go-to. It's here on the bookshelf because it's by Ra Uru Hu, like the father of human design himself. But you're going to need a translator for that book because it's written like, it reads like a textbook. It does. And it's just, in my experience, like once you get to the point where you know too much, it's very hard to go backward and speak to the beginner. And so it was very, very important to me to make my course right now before I move into more advanced concepts of astrology and human design for myself, so that it actually makes sense to the beginner. Because a lot of people learn human design and they like, which is great, right? They decondition, they go through their whole 7-year process. And when you get into this human design world, like the terminology just kind of takes over your head and you can't speak like normal language anymore. Can I ask how much it costs to work with? You can work with me at many levels, right? You're working with my You're working with me right now live for free. I have lots and lots of free resources. I have my personalized report, which I wrote. All the copy is by me, $20 range. I have one-on-one readings. Depends on how much time you want, right? I have 45 minute, 60 minute, 90 minute. I do coaching and I have my course, and if you like this live setting, another great way to access me in a smaller, more focused group. And I do have a membership where we do live calls at least monthly, but multiple times a month because I just can't stop talking about this stuff. And all of the replays are there too. So like I did a masterclass on connection charts, genetic matrix, the advanced reader software that I use. We did a masterclass on the basics of how to read a chart. So, and we do live Q&As every month too, but a smaller setting. And like you could show up with your face and I could hear your voice and see your face there too, which is hard here on live, obviously. I love reading textbooks. Well, you might like it. So there's that. That's like cover all the bases. And then if there's a certain like place you want to land within human design, if that makes sense, like if you're really into energy centers or channels or gates or, like depending on what calls to you, I can recommend other books on like a topic. But if you want to like an overarching view of the whole system, that's the Definitive Book of Human Design. And it's on Amazon. Okay. I see. I know I got tongue twister. I missed a lot of comments. I'm so sorry. If you are asking, spot on case study, the irony. If you're asking about like your profile numbers or your type, I have really good explainer videos on my website, feelgoodhumandesign.com or thefeelgoodexpert.com, that'll like walk you through that, because we have 5 different types and your type will tell us your strategy, and your strategy will tell us your signature and not self-theme, right? So in order to like understand how all of those things work together in the context of your aura, it's good to use those video explanations and to be able to refer back to them, or my report, which like I said is in the $20 range. Because I'm trying to answer as many questions as I can on the things that might be a little harder to find. How does left angle cross of confrontation differ from regular left angle cross of confrontation? So the cool thing about incarnation crosses, There's like 194 variations or something, but there's not that many foundational crosses. So what happens is your cross is made up of 4 gates: sun and earth on those columns on either side of the body graph. Okay. And it's called a cross because when you look at it on a mandala, when you look at it on a wheel, sun is always opposite earth. And your design date is about 90 degrees. It's 88 days, 90 degrees, or 88 days of the sun. So it literally makes an X because that's why it's called an incarnation cross. But because there are 4 gate potentials, depending on where your sun sign is, right, your astrological sun sign, your leading gate will change. And so there's an incarnation, the first variation of it. And then there's the second variation of it, the same 4 gates, but the leading gate is different. There's 4 potential leading gates, if that makes sense. So you'll have the incarnation cross and then LAX2, LAX3, LAX4, right? Depending on which one is, but the general theme is the same because it's the same 4 gates. But half of your cross is conscious to you and half is unconscious. And so that's why we actually go into the detail of describing each of the 4 variations. Because if, for example, like I've got the cross of the Sphinx, and on my conscious side, I've got the gate of the listener and the army leader, but on unconscious, I have the creative and the receptive. If you describe to me the themes of those 2 gates, the creative and the receptive, gates 1 and 2, I'm like, okay, I think I'm following you, right? But if you described me to someone else that way, they go, oh yeah, that's exactly what I see in that person, right? So who I think I am, my leading gate, what resonates for me is different than what's unconscious to me. But we put it all together and then we get this holistic view of your whole aura, who you think you are, and how others see you. I know you probably wanted that in the context of your specific cross, but it was a teachable moment. Catch you next time. Oh, I already understand. Okay, so you'll actually love human design because it took me a long time to actually figure out like what the hell, like how do these 2 things work together? And I'm switching. Like I've understood astrology my whole life, but not really the depth of like aspects and progressions and transits and how all the things work together and paint a whole picture. Like I've just kind of pieced it together. So I learned human design first, but all of your gates in your personality side, so if you're looking at my website, the pink side, those are going to be the exact same placements as your natal chart. Exactly the same. It's just based on the degree of placement in any given sign, that's where the gate lands, but they're stationary. So if you know the stationary placements, the order of the zodiac wheel, we have an order of the 64 gates that falls within the zodiac wheel. So every zodiac sign has a group of gates attached to it forever and ever, if that makes sense. So if you understand Aquarius, for example, right? I said my leading gate is gate 13. Gate 13 is always going to be an Aquarian placement, always. So if you see gate 13 in a human design chart, you'll go, oh, that person has Aquarius placements, if that makes sense. The difference between astrology and human design, though, is we use 2 natal charts. We have your date of birth, and then we have that date that's 88 degrees of the sun prior, because in human design, we believe that's the day that like your spirit dropped into your vessel. It's like, oh, I want that body for this lifetime. Pretty trippy stuff, I think. Sign up for the class, which I've just started to enjoy. Sign up for the membership. Kat, I sent you an email. Did you get it? I sent you an email with a bunch of links. It took me a few days though, because my email stuff got messed up because I transferred my domains. But I sent you an email with all of the links. So check and see if you got that from me. Could have gone into promotions or spams because they're doing that to me now. But I sent you an email with links to everything, and use the Kajabi app. If you just use the Kajabi app and use the same credentials that you logged into the course with, everything will just be right there in your face. I've been studying human design for a year and a half, but I absolutely love how short, sweet, and simple your language is. from a short. You're welcome. Oh yeah, there's a bunch of links. But I only do the app. You're an Aquarius too. Okay, so that was a good. Okay, let me scroll back up here because I know there's some comments. Just joined. Are you talking about a specific house? We don't really use house placements too much in human design. I do because I use an advanced reader software called Genetic Matrix. And so where you see like a column for all of these gates, there'll also be a column for the sign and there'll also be a column for the house because I understand it. But a lot of human design readers can get away with not knowing astrology. You can save quite a lot without knowing astrology at all. But I think astrology is like a map, right? Like your karma is just laid out right in front of you. And human design is like the compass or like the little person that's walking on the map. Like, what energy do I bring when I'm going this direction? So, for example, I'm Sagittarius South Node, Gemini North Node. Now it's starting to make sense why I say things in such a concise way. Take these big spiritual topics and break them down simply. Anyways, if that's like the map that I'm on, how do I show up on that journey? Oh, I'm a projector. So I'll take big spiritual concepts and make them simple by taking you through a step-by-step process, by managing your energy. That's what projectors do, right? By making things more efficient. I'm a 1-3 projector, so I'm going to provide you all the foundational knowledge that you need and all of my case studies and my experimentation. Does that make sense? So it's like if you understand astrology, like, yeah, you've got the big map. You've got the big themes. And of course, like you can use progressions and transits to understand even more of the energy year to year. But it's like human design will tell you about the body that you're in and the strategy for using that like auric field that you're working with on top of the astrological knowledge. Yeah, that's because there's multiple gates in Aquarius. So there's usually like 5 to 7 gates per sign. So like I think 49 is also an Aquarian gate. It's on my list of things to memorize. I love to memorize things. Hello, left face. That's not my chart, but hello, left facing arrow. Hold on. Oh, do I have it? I have it open right here, I think. Did I? Oh, no, I didn't. I thought I lost my YouTube. I have. Yeah. It's right here. So the gates of Aquarius, for example, will be 60. 60 is on the cusp. 41, 19, 13, 49, and 30. So you're going to have it. If you have Aquarius placements, you'll have at least one of those gates, if that makes sense. You have Gemini North Node, 11th house. Mine's in the 10th house. Yeah, I have this chart that shows gates by sign by energy center. It's hard to describe. And it's color coded. So yeah, there's Aquarius gates in the root, in the solar plexus, and then there's only one in the G center, the one I have, 13. Hi. No, I only have one channel of struggle, 2838. Living the dream over here with my third line. PHS tells us so much, and following our correct signature is crucial. Agree. Oh, that's Gene Keys, right? 59, culture and vocation. 4130. There you go. Aquarius South Node, Leo North Node. Ooh. I had a client who had that placement. It was interesting. She was interesting to work with. The 2 books you recommended for Gates and Incarnation Crosses are really good reference books to own. I wish I had known about them when I first got started. It would have saved me a lot. I know. Trust me, I've got an entire bookshelf, almost an entire shelf exclusively dedicated to human design books. There's some astrology here on the end. I've gotten a lot of books, and some of it, no offense, is just nonsensical rambling of raw. Not nonsensical, like you have to know so much. You have to be so advanced to get what he's saying. And if you get the book too soon, it just doesn't, and it's transcribed. It's not always well organized. First line, bookshelf. Oh God, I have just 58 and no ability to know what to struggle for. 38. The fighter, right? Do you read birth charts for people? I need to know what's going on with my love life. Well, Heather, yes, I do. But I'll tell you what's going on with your love life is that collective nodal placements. I actually just talked about this on the podcast. If you want to like listen to me talk about it for 45 minutes, I have a podcast, Brandy Yates, and I have a podcast. It's on Spotify and Apple. It's called Human Design with Brandy and Tangie. I was like, whose name was first? Human Design with Brandy and Tangie. Super simple. And I've been sending the links out to my email list as well each week as we have new episodes going. I need to link it in my Stan store. I haven't done that yet. But it's the nodes, collective nodes. We have 18 months of Libra South node and Aries North node. It's almost done, like early next year. But we've had to like really come to terms with individuality versus partnership. That's what those two signs do. So same. I can't fix it for you, but I can read your chart and like tell you how you'll show up in relationship. And I can read a connection chart and tell you the themes of a specific relationship. And I could potentially look at your astrological transits and see when something's going to happen in your 7th house. But just generally, we've got this big collective energy rethinking how we are in partnership. Everybody loves Brandy. I love Brandy. But you also have 50. Oh, okay. So a lot of root pressure. I was listening, thinking, oh, you sound like, this is just how I talk apparently now. You and Brandy are my favorite human design. Yay! I know, it's so fun for us to work together. And we have basically the same chart, just channel of struggle and everything else undefined or open. But it's fascinating because I have a fully open ego and she has a fully open solar plexus. And like we talked in an episode about like, even though we just have those 2 defined centers in that one channel, like the difference in energy and distraction from her fully open center versus my fully open center. I'm not as distracted by my solar plexus as she is. And she's not as distracted by her ego center as I am. So every chart's got its own. I got divorced almost 4 years ago, and October has been off the chain with, oh, Heather, book a reading with me so I can pick up on some of your energy. But same, my ex and I separated 5 years almost to the day, October 6th, 2019. And I have been flying solo ever since. It's been good. It's been challenging, but it's been great. Channel of abstraction. Any advice on experimenting with it some? Well, you have to remember this is collective circuitry. It's not for you, right? It's for you to take the collective memory of what's confusing and bring breakthroughs, bring new perspectives, bring new points of view for the collective. Don't use that mental pressure on yourself. You go crazy. Gate 58, line 5 is something else. You kind of feel like you're expecting to be cool. With being the source of energy. Oh, interesting. I need to look at that. When will I care again? I refer so many people to your blog when I introduce. Thank you. When will you care? So I always say, like, if you feel out of balance, and it happens to me a lot, and I'm still freaking figuring it out, but I'm doing much better than I ever have. You got to look at your profile numbers as like, is one weighing way too heavily on me and I'm not doing the other one? And so if you're like, I'm tired of people's shit, I'm tired of being projected on, I'm tired of being the villain or the victim or the hero or the savior, whatever, then you're like, leave me alone. I'm going to go read some books. I need to do some research. I need to learn some things. I need to organize the piles of papers on my desk. I need to check all the tabs that I have open. I need to finish the courses. Got to bring balance, because that fifth line will really mess with your head. What are your thoughts about the Penta? I'm booking a reading. Yay! Can't wait. It's meant to be for correction of the other. Is that what you're saying? What are my thoughts about Penta? I use, and I've kind of looked at my family Penta, but I look and then I immediately look away because there's a lot missing. And going back to what Heather said, I'm like, wow, if we just had like one more person in our dynamic, maybe things would balance out a little bit. I wouldn't have so much pressure on me. But it's fun to look at. It's really, really fun, especially when you understand like the frameworks of charts and all of the basics, and when you understand what you're looking at. Pentas are really fun to look at. I'm much better at looking at them for business than for like personal or home life or family pentas. But I look at both. Both I find interesting. But for business, it's just so much more strategic. It's just so much more like, oh, I can do something about this. Like me and two other collaborators, like, oh, okay, here's our penta. Here's what we're going to be doing. Here's what we're good at. Let's pull in one more person to fill in this gap, if there is one, right? Whatever. That's how I feel. Yeah, family penta makes me cry. Sorry, I miss some. You're aware that every channel has one of the 6 profiles attached to it. So my question is it something that we need to consciously employ, or does it work automatically? Yeah, your chart, you can't not do it. It automatically expresses through you. There's nothing you can do even to stop it if you wanted to. But when you have awareness of what's there, when you just like say it out loud, right? Like, oh, okay, I get that whatever keyword is a theme for me. Now you get out of that energy of trying to fix everything. You get out of that energy of trying to do something about it. You just go, oh, yeah, that's there. Yeah. If you want to work with the energy, just like set a clear intention. So for example, if someone books a business reading with me and they're like, hey, what do I talk about? I'm going to tell them what they already talk about. I'm going to tell them what they can't not talk about. I'm going to tell them what everybody else says that they're always saying, right? Or at least I'm going to reflect to them, if I don't know them, like, here's what I've heard you say. And here's what gate and line your Mercury is in. So if you can't not talk about that anyway, why not double down? Why not go all in? So it's like giving the vocabulary, giving the language to the energy that's already there. Brandy talks about this in our podcast when she's talking about shyness in her gate 59, right? So gate 59 is our gate of sexuality, but when we look at line 2 in gate 59, the theme is shyness, right? She's like, and I'm telling her my experience of people with gate 59 being so extroverted and so open, right? And I'm the introvert, and when I work together with them, it feels really good and it's easy. And she's like, but I get it, and I'm a 5th line, but I feel so shy. So that's my explanation. Yeah, it's like just putting language and vocabulary to what already exists. Yeah, exactly, Mateus. That's what Brandy says too. She's like, people come at me, but I'm shy. And I'm like, I never would have guessed. Is more, hold on, is more better? No, it's just more to manage. Exactly. Hi, what is this chart? It's called a human design chart. Human design is a synthesis of 4 ancient systems. We use Western astrology, the Chinese i-ching, the Hindu Brahmin chakra system, and mystical kabbalah. Put it all together, you get this map of your aura. Yes, thank you for referring to my reading. If you go on my website, feelgoodhumandesign.com or thefeelgoodexpert.com, it's all the same website. I just had to redirect one of my domains. I have so many domains. Anyways, if you click the menu, there's a button that says readings. It'll take you right to it. I don't have it like so easy to find. Because I want to work with people who want to work with me. I can be shy as well, yeah. My husband and I are separated a month earlier, September 19th. We were together again, separate homes. My ex and I cohabitated because of COVID. 18 months. Like I told him, I was like, I'm leaving. And next week we were on lockdown. It was great for our communication and our co-parenting. It was hard, but it was great. How can a manifesting generator use their sacral authority, and should they initiate or only respond? Your strategy is to wait to respond. It's manifesting generator is a subtype of generator, not manifester. You're manifesting because you have the motor to throat connection, but your motor is the sacral. So you must check the sacral first. You must say, is energy here? Yes or no, right? Do I have the energy to sustain or not? Now, once you check in with the gut, right, and the gut gives you a yes, for example, now the throat is going to create these refinements. The throat's going to speed it up. The throat's going to take a lot of action, more than a generator that doesn't have the motor to throat connection. But you have to start with the sacral, because almost every manifesting generator that I meet, they do backwards. They go, I'm going to initiate, and then I'm going to try to find the energy. And I'm going to initiate, and I'm going to try to find the energy. And I'm just going to get frustrated because I start a bunch of things that I can't finish. Start something, skip some steps, come back. Like you're going to be satisfied through the process. You're just going to do it a little faster and a little more haywire than a sacral generator. But responding is always first. Hi, Timothy. I'm a 1-3 also. 1-3 emotional manifesting generator. Oceana. 5-1 self. Oh, I love a self-projected projector. I've not met a 1-3. I'm a 1-3. Me loving project. I love you more. My kids and I do this all day. I love you. I love you a million. I love you a million times a million. I love you infinity. I love you infinity plus infinity plus infinity. Oh, my son, I love you. I told my son, I love you before you were born. My son, I love you before you even existed. I love you before the Big Bang. What do we do with the weight? Research. I mean, yeah, as a 5-1, you could, yeah. But I actively wait because I'm waiting for the invitation. I consider that as like consciously pulling my energy back to me and keeping it for myself. Because I have an absorbing aura, but you have an open aura. So very similar, like in like really having to have awareness of where you're spread too thin or where your feelers are out and going, no, mine. Pull it back. That's what I consider waiting. I'm not waiting on somebody else. I'm mostly hiding. Mostly hermiting. I'm a 2-4 projector, cross with explanation. In the last 2 years until presently, I've been really struggling with identity, as in not wanting to subscribe to any one particular way of being. I've also struggled with letting people get close to me. I've been hyper independent, and those feelings of detachment are only exacerbated by in my more personal sphere. All my centers are defined except the root and sacral. Interesting. I mean, the second line is a hermit. So, but that's probably not single definition, right? Permission for stingy sound. Yes, that's what we like for a sacral response. Yummy. For two people that have a strategy only to respond, how do we cultivate more connection? You know how to speak to each other's listening. Just give options. Ask yes or no questions. Give the sacral things to respond to. Same as what you would want, right? To be able to trigger that response. Offer that in return. Split definition. Okay, let me ponder that for a sec. Yeah. And maybe do like pleasurable things together, do fun things together, do satisfying things together. Find though, because not everybody finds the same thing satisfying or pleasurable, right? And you're each creating your own energy. So find the thing that you have in common that is mutually satisfying. And find it through response. Yes or no. Here's two options. I'm doing something really exciting. Do you want to be excited with me? That's what I do in my MG son. Yep. Do you want to clean? No. What if I can clean faster than you? What if this can be the most fun cleaning session you've ever had? What if it's a race? That's also his open ego. Okay. We don't have a 4-2, so it's got to be the 2-4. Okay. Struggle with letting people get close to me. Hyper independent. This could also be a transit, by the way. The void. My friend, the void. Because I had something similar. And so human design and astrologically, I don't know how old you are, but we're always having like major transits happen in different planets and different signs and houses. And I have had this like huge thing around self-worth this whole year, right? And I like have gone to coaching and therapy and NLP, and I've done all the healing work, and I've integrated my design, and I've done all the things, and I'm like, why can't I get this? Why can't I get this? Like, why is this so hard? And it's like a Chiron transit for me. So we have ones that happen in adult life, or Saturn around the age of 30. Then Saturn's going to make a square. You're also going to have your nodal return, Pluto square, Uranus opposition. Like there's a lot of things that bump into your natal placements and give you these learning opportunities and these wake-up calls. So it could be transiting energy. And I'm saying that because I'm like, yeah, you're a second line. It's normal to want to hermit, right? It's normal as a fourth line to go, okay, who am I going to let close to me or not, right? Who am I going to allow to center me as a foundational relationship? Because they're going to ask a lot of me. And as a projector to go, maybe I don't want to do that. Maybe I don't have energy for that. But we also have these energetic resets that happen via transiting energy and planets. Libra rising, Capricorn stellium in the third. Last year, I had a dream about astrology. It was a whole show. And the wizard who looked like a Merlin said, next time Jupiter and Mars is in conjunction, I will start to manifest my dream life. And it was here last month. Did anything manifest? Okay, let me get back to these comments. So funny, I made a video because I was responding to people fighting with my field about how human design is limiting. And it was so, to me, it was so in the best way. Oh, yeah, exactly. Agree. What do the arrows mean? They're called the variables or the 4 transformations. Top left is digestion. Bottom left is environment. Bottom right is perspective. This is me not knowing left from right, by the way. Top right is motivation. Like I know the arrows, I just don't know left from right. How to articulate left from right. I must have childhood trauma on the day I was supposed to learn that because it just never sticks. And I said them in order that they happen. So first is digestion, and then environment, and then perspective, and then motivation. This is how we transform our physical body and then our mental space, our conceptualization, our mindset, our motivation. And I have descriptions of digestion and environment in my chart properties, free video explanations, and then all 4 of them are in my personalized report. Huh. Jupiter and Mars. That's a crazy dream. I mean, Jupiter and Mars conjunct would be like, I have big ambition all of a sudden. I have big drive all of a sudden. You're welcome. Not you. Reading a lot of different comments at once. I feel like I was probably saying something else at some point and lost my train of thought. If you asked me a question and I missed it, or it seemed like I ignored it, or I started to answer it and then I got distracted, just ask again. That said, I do have to wrap up. I just felt like today I have to go live. Random. Also, I'm usually at the gym during this time. Root pressure. I have to lift to relieve all my stress and pressure. But I went this morning because I was pissed. And I was like, I gotta move this energy. This is too much pressure. I can't handle it. It worked. A lot of comfort has been found in disappearing into the crowd or getting wrapped up in fantasy. I could see that. I realized with my Neptune placement, like that's a big problem for me. I gotta be careful with the Lulu land and manifestation space. I had a Capricorn stellium. Like I just gotta show up and do stuff. I can't think about it. I get a little nutty. I have prophetic dreams too. And they take the ones that like are like that tell me something is going to happen, like they take a while. Like you're saying, like 18 months, multiple years. But the dream is so like profound that I don't forget that it's coming. My sciatica is messing with me. You know, I was at the gym and I went to move a bench that was in my way. I was going to use the cable machine and I just turned just the right way. Like something was like, "Oop." But I've learned just leave it alone. Leave it alone. And it'll get better. I think it's my Pisces Lilith. Oh, I have Pisces Lilith too. Is that why? I was looking at that this morning. It's at 5 degrees in the 6th house. Do you know which gate is thinking about and wondering about the root of reality, if there is one? It has been a big subject in my life. I mean, I have gate 38, and gate 38 is looking for purpose and meaning. 39 and 55, similar, but looking like via spirit, via emotional experience. My side is more like physical experience, the 38-28. The gate 61 is the gate of mystery. So naturally, 61 and 24 would carry some themes around that. I'm looking at all of these individual circuits, and then I'm like, well, is there any collective? 40 and 31 would have us like have desires and cravings and fantasies. So that might have you questioning, what am I doing here? I have a defined route. I walk 6 to 8 miles to strength training. Yes, dude, it makes such a huge difference. And I didn't know that most of my life. And I was burnt out, adrenal burnout and immune system failure over and over again, over and over again, over and over again, until I was like, oh, I need to relieve this pressure. Now I'm hooked. Like, it's so obvious when the pressure builds up. It's so obvious. And I go to the gym, I'm immediately better. Physical and mental health, immediately turns. I'm obsessed. I definitely want a more personalized, in-depth look. I may be able to glean some profound. Yeah, that'd be fun. Readings are fun. I don't do a lot of readings, but when I do readings, I do them well. I could read a chart for 10 hours. There's so much. That's why I ask people, like, what do you need to know right now? What is your ideal outcome for this reading? Because you might want another one in a year, you might want another one on a different topic. Because within an hour, like, I want to tell you what you want to know, because otherwise I'd just read you for filth for forever. Shadow is purposelessness. There you go. Yeah, I'm reworking my coaching offers. I'm trying to decide what it is that I want, but I'm a good coach. It's just, as a projector, it takes a lot of energy, but I think I'll have an influx of time and clients when my kids go to Portugal in December. Currently in a Neptune square, Venus transit has been interesting. Oh my gosh. I don't envy. Except I'm in the Chiron and Taurus. God. It's been horrible. It's been great. My standards are. My focus is conscious manifestation. Ooh, I love that. I mean, that's like a foundational belief system for me. Human design or not, like, I believe everybody is a conscious creator or co-creator of their reality. Chiron and Taurus is horrible. Yeah. Mine's in the 9th. Yeah. I'm going to be ready for that Chiron return, though. Another question, I have zero idea what I want to do as my work or career. It hasn't always been like that. There's this desire to help others with spirituality, life in general, but I'm not sure how. Well, yeah, 55 makes sense. I would say the how comes from your strategy and your profile numbers. So take that theme of spirituality and go, okay, how do I teach it? Do I read it intuitively? Do I solve problems? Do I experiment with it? Am I the role model in this? Do I make connections, community? So look at the profile numbers and your type. Okay, friends, I must go. Thanks for joining. I will see you next time.